Instagram, Facebook, all those, they just show your highlight reel.
Right.
I'm a big proponent for talking about your losses as well. So mom and dad live in Carriage Hills in Brentwood. It was the neighborhood that I grew up in. I had someone reach out. They were interviewing multiple agents to list their house in Carriage Hills, literally like 4 doors down from mom and dad. I know everything about that neighborhood. I went into that listing appointment nowhere near cocky, but very confident. Try to carry myself well. I was very knowledgeable. Got a call a couple of days later saying they decided to go with somebody else.
Yeah.
And it kind of shocked me, to be honest with you, just because, that's my home turf. And so I put that out there. Show your losses, man. That makes you human.
From the business capital of the world, the Big Apple, New York City, Middle Tennessee, it says here. Sounds riveting. This is the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast, a podcast about Middle Tennessee business owners and professionals.
Mostly. That's right. Thank you, Matt Wilson from the Mostly Marketing Podcast, voicing our intro. This is the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast.com. Check us out there. That is the actual website. It's a podcast where we talk to Middle Tennessee business owners, professionals, and entrepreneurs and have real conversations, complete with offshoots, tangents, rabbit holes, you name it. Because that's what happens in a real conversation. There's a little bit of a method to the madness and a plan behind it, and a reason why I bring on the guests that I bring on, because I think it's a value to you to hear the stories, what they've been through, the challenges, all that fun stuff. I am your host, Jim McCarthy, with JimMcCarthyVoiceovers.com. And today, if you're in the real estate industry, if you're looking at what I call multipreneurship, which is something that everybody's kind of doing these days, I guess that's what it's called. If you have a side hustle, you're kind of a multipreneur in a way. I know I am. I spin a lot of plates. But our guest today is going to talk all about that, especially the latest in the real estate industry that's happening here locally. And he certainly could talk about it because he's in that industry and he's a native of Nashville. Nick Woodard, thanks for being on, pal.
What's up, brother? Good to be back.
Is that a good intro?
I believe so.
You believe so?
Sounds
You're also
good
the
to
host.
Me.
You're the host of the soon-to-be-refreshed 615 podcast.
Correct. You got me started on that years ago, and then I slacked. Now it's time to get things back rolling again, I guess.
Yeah, man. I mean, you started that podcast because you have deep roots, deep connections here in Nashville. You know a lot of cool people, and you might as well have good conversations with them.
Very true.
So let's bring it back. I might know somebody who can help you with that,
Yeah. You got a referral?
We got the studio here, and I'm talking about me just to make sure you know. There's something here that we can use. I mean, this whole room, it could be yours to use if need be.
All right.
I'm going to put that out there. It's going to be public here anyway that we're going to start renting this room out if you need a podcast. So
okay, maybe I'll get off my lazy ass and get after it again.
Well, I want to make it as easy for you as possible because it's going to be work to set up an episode or two, and
I loved it. I mean, I was.
It was a good podcast.
Cranking them out it was fun. It was real fun. I enjoyed it.
And that's the biggest thing is like when you see something that's that good and you get busy with other things in life, and you did.
Damn kids.
And business in general, because real estate caught fire shortly after.
It did. Podcast was actually very helpful for creating content for me.
Content and attracting people, because I think the last time you were on, we talked about the notion of putting a stake in the ground of what you believe in. Mm-hmm. And by proxy, you'll attract people that believe the same thing. Very true. Whether it's controversial or not.
Mm-hmm. I've learned that tenfold in the past 2 or 3 years, especially with Instagram. I'm all about just being authentically me, showing your true self, who you are, the good, bad, and the ugly, and then you're going to connect with people that, are like-minded folks.
Yeah. So your story began, you moved here in 88, you said?
Yeah, 88 when I was 7 years old.
From where?
So we're from North Alabama, Coleman, Huntsville area, and Dad got transferred to North Carolina for a year or two. Yeah. And then we moved here. So... yeah, 88. I was in second grade.
And you were in, what part of Middle Tennessee did you land in?
I was in Brentwood. I went to Brentwood before Brentwood became Brentwood.
We had to clench your teeth while saying it.
It's crazy. Basically, my parents' house that I grew up in is in the Cool Springs area.
Oh wow!
And of course, it wasn't the Cool Springs. It was farms. Yeah.
You know Kelly Rice, Dr. Kelly Rice.
How do I know that name?
She is a world-class dentist that has an office there. It's one of the first offices on Seaboard or Mallory.
Okay.
And she's got a picture of Cool Springs as an aerial picture of just her building.
That's
nothing
cool.
else for
Cool.
hundreds of yards. And the Cool Springs Galleria is like still farmland.
Yep.
It's nuts.
Yep. I remember all that. I remember when Concord Road didn't have an exit.
Really?
That just went straight across 65.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's probably just an old country 2-lane road, right?
There's a couple old wooden bridges down through there.
Yeah. And now, what did it still have, like the influence and the mansions on it back then, or were they?
No, I mean it was gorgeous land. So of course there was large parcel properties and that type thing.
Governor's Club was still there.
Oh,
when did that come around?
No, that was Lord. I was in high school, middle school or high school.
Okay.
So probably early to mid 90s.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't realize it was that.
I don't
new.
know, man. I'm 43 years old now. It's all jumbled together.
You're so young. You're so young.
It's all molded together, man.
Well, these conversations are always fun because it's always great to catch up with you because we've just always hit it off, Yeah, you were referred to me by Carrie Ann Sear that, we both have that in common.
Yeah.
But, how did your entrepreneurial bug, how did that get started for you?
Well, family. Dad was always a sales manager. Mom was big into, you remember Longaberger baskets?
Yeah.
Mom was a heavy slinger.
Really?
My whole childhood, Dad would come home from work and then we'd help Mom load the van up with the baskets and she'd go do the basket shows and come back home, and Mom put me through college from Longaberger baskets. But
Where'd you go to college?
Middle Tennessee, MTSU.
MTSU?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like the WestCon of the South.
Yeah, man. I remember, 840 wasn't there. So I'd go 96 all the way into town.
That's back then the traffic wasn't.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Yeah. So, you've been here a long time. You've had a good run of success. You yourself are a multipreneur because not only are you doing real estate very well, but you also own a window cleaning company.
Yeah.
What else do you do?
I've got an OnlyFans page.
Is it
real
feet?
into feet? Yeah. No, that's it. Really, I've been in real estate for 20 years now. It was what I was going to do until I figured out what I wanted to do.
Right.
And so made a career out of it.
What did you want to do?
I don't know. No clue.
You didn't know what you wanted to do when you were a kid?
No clue.
Really?
No.
What was your dream? No. What was the big idea, the big, hairy, audacious goal as a kid? It changes. Mine was I wanted to be a drummer.
Man, I didn't have massive plans. I'm a simple person. Yeah. I've always said I want to make enough money that I don't have to worry about making enough money.
Right.
That's it. No.
Gabriel Sedlak, a mutual friend of ours, you know what he says about money? The greatest thing about money is the freedom from it.
Yep. Yep. Gabe
I'm not there yet.
Very, very bright guy. Mm-hmm. Known him for many, many years.
Yeah. He's another regular guest of mine. He comes on every year or so.
Yeah.
We'll have him on.
Man, again, I always knew that I was good with people.
Yeah.
I connect well with people. So I knew I was like, I'll be in some sort of sales.
Yeah. What else have you sold before real estate? Anything else?
That's it, man.
That was it?
Right
never
out
did
of
cars,
college.
you never did mortgages, nothing?
Right out of college.
Wow.
Yeah, my sister was in real estate, and so she kind of got me started.
What was your major in college?
Marketing.
Okay.
Yeah, marketing and business. Yeah. So, it was just a matter of connecting and being from here.
Yeah.
It was just second nature because I already, I'll own it. Like, I had a leg up.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people, have a lot of connections. And so I just built the business from there and grew those relationships. And, I try to pride myself on, always serving people. It's not about a deal. It's about, serving somebody well and,
yeah.
that's how you grow your business.
You've weathered some storms too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You've been through the 08.
08, 09. That was fun.
I wouldn't say it's fun.
No, it was awful.
But it certainly got you uncomfortable to grow.
Oh, of course.
Everybody did.
Of course. And that's one thing I've learned. And the older I get, the more things change, with this social media stuff is, I don't say I was against it by any means, but that wasn't my thing. I couldn't care less about it. And then now, if you don't have a social media presence, you're not going to survive.
Yeah.
So, to be honest, it was kind of exciting when I started doing that again, because real estate, I don't want to say it was getting boring, but it was, same thing over year after year after year.
Right.
And when you started having to produce content to educate people and to grow your business and your following, it allowed me to be creative again.
Right.
And so that was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. So I'm spending a lot of time learning different ways to educate people, my knowledge of the area and what's going on. And, I always want to be entertaining. Don't want to be boring.
Yeah.
I mean, who the hell wants to sit and listen to somebody just talk numbers in real estate? That's just
your social media, and I'm just pulling it up right now, is I think been pretty on point, because you've gotten to the point where you're getting some premium listings.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm pulling it up, so I'm trying. I'm doing the thing that most men can't do, and do two things at once.
Multitask.
Yeah. So you're doing a lot of different, cool house photos. They catch my eye.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're nice looking places.
So I've got a videographer I love, Zach Harrison.
Right.
Great guy. He shoots all my stuff. He does a great job, but a lot of people spend a lot of time on Instagram just killing time.
Yeah.
I don't do that. I'm on Instagram trying to learn. So I'll follow accounts that have high reaches. Go, okay, what kind of media marketing and stuff are they doing?
Yeah.
And then I'll take notes of that, recreate it with my own twist.
Yeah.
And that's how you come up with an engaging piece of content.
Yeah. And so you're also paying attention to what's trending.
Yeah.
If you could say something relevant within that trend.
Sure.
I've had a couple of pieces go viral. One time there was an NFL game, and I commented on the way they counted a field goal and the way they put it on a title on TV. Almost made it seem like they predicted his field goal. I'm like, whoa, are these rigged? And I did the whole example.
Don't go down that one.
Oh, man.
Don't go down that rabbit hole.
It blew up on Twitter, man. And I just did it as an experiment just to see what happened. I didn't put it on any of my other platforms, I don't think. And then all of a sudden, I got, you're an idiot because of the previous guy, fair enough, guys. I capitulated. I did the whole comment, Tai Chi, absorb the blow and kind of repackage it and be like, hey,
Well, I got a couple friends that are well known and have high followings, and one of them told me that, hey, when you get haters, that's when you're actually growing. So if you got some haters, you're crushing it, yeah.
Well, that's fine. If they're engaging in the comments based on something you said that we had this conversation on another podcast we did today. What designates a hater versus someone who just doesn't agree with what you're saying and strategically has a contrary concept to what you said.
Right.
What makes a hater a hater? And we kind of went through the whole. He says, if they're trying to be just, say something that's insulting, where there's no qualification to the actual comment they're making, you probably designate them as a hater.
They're trying to belittle you instead of elevate what their thought process is.
Right. I see what you're saying, but I disagree here.
And I try not to engage in any of that.
Yeah.
I'm can be a little bit of a liability, so I try to watch what I say.
If the controversy is genuine, I see a lot of guys out there, influencers, wannabes, things of that nature. Some guys who are blowing it up, man, and they're doing a really good job at using that shock jock approach to get a lot of attention. But if I ever had the opportunity to talk to them or sit them down in front of me in the podcast, do you really believe what you're saying?
Right.
Or are you doing it for shock value?
And what's attention? I mean, I don't if you get the attention, but it's all negative attention, how is anybody resonating with what you're trying to say?
I mean, it's the old adage, the more people are talking about you, the more money you make.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, you see it all the time in the political arenas. Their job is to be controversial and polarizing.
Of course.
You know? Not that that's something you do, but I mean, there is an element that a lot of people, if they have the C.O. Jones to really start being polarizing in their business, knowing it'll affect their business, probably in a bad way, but also in a good way. Because like what you're talking about, people see what you do. You're a gun guy. You're out there. You're on the property. You're fishing, doing all those kinds of things. That resonates with people, and they're like, "I like you just because of that."
Yeah, and you don't have to be polarizing.
Right.
You just be raw, authentically you. Like, I'm a Christian. I'm a father. I'm an outdoorsman. I'm a conservative. I want you to know all that on the front end.
Right.
Because when we end up working together, it's such a better situation.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying I don't want to help people that are, don't see things the way I do. Of course not.
Yeah.
I respect everybody and want to work with anybody and everybody. However, that's not reality.
Yeah.
People want to work with people they know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
And if you can give them a reason to feel like they know you before they even meet you, half the battle's already won.
Right. But there's a lot of people out there that will do the mirroring technique.
Sure.
In sales, which is somewhat insincere.
Absolutely. I've said on some of my videos, I'm not for everybody. I will be the first to tell you that. I'm going to take care of you.
Yeah.
I'm going to be ethical. I'm going to honor any commitment I make. However, I'm a little rough around the edges.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest and shoot you straight.
Yeah. That's going to go a long way for you.
I hope so.
I mean, 20 years in. I mean, it has gone a long way.
You're getting older and you just don't want to tolerate people's crap.
Isn't that the truth, man? It's so true. I'm like, someone was saying, the other day, I don't want to burn bridges. I'm going, sometimes you just have to.
Yeah.
Because if the person doesn't match, if they're not integrous, they're not honest, they're doing things and saying things that they shouldn't be doing and saying because they don't know about it. Like, I know a lot of people that try to be, quote, podcast experts. And then you hear their stuff.
Right.
And go, what makes you an expert? Your mic's overmodulated. The EQ of the guest and the host doesn't match. Your content's all over the road. Not that I'm guilty of that too, but I mean, at least I have a general direction that I go to, and I always bring it back because of my training in radio. 20 years roughly in content producing for audio and video.
Crazy now? Like, everybody's an expert when
that always happens.
Hey, Middle Tennessee electricians, handy women and men, and just those of you needing better commercial LED lighting solutions. Yeah, I know, there's so many of you. I have to tell you, there's another option than just the big orange and blue box stores now. Try j2lighting.com. At j2lighting.com, we have the latest technology in all types of commercial LED lighting, from UFO high bays, drawers, area lights, and shoeboxes, right on down to a slimline wall pack that doesn't look like a fist coming off the wall like most other wall packs do. You get what I'm saying, right? Many of our fixtures are wattage and color temperature selectable, which means you have more control over the brightness and appearance in your dark spaces. Check us out at j2lighting.com for a great local source for your commercial LED lighting ideas, even full color light show dreams. Yeah, totally. That's the letter J and number 2 lighting.com. j2lighting.com.
I'm an expert at what. Okay, you've dabbled in this, and
right.
you've done whatever you do, a lifetime to become an expert.
Right. Put in the reps, and you put in the 10,000 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Rich Redmond he's an expert master percussionist through and through. Not only does he have a master's degree in music education, I mean, the amount of styles he can play behind the kit, the amount of people he's recorded for and backed up. Of course, he backs one of the biggest names in country music. He's an expert.
Yeah.
True and true. But I saw somebody the other day that just got licensed, putting out content as if they've been doing it for 10 years. It's like, no, dude, you can't. People are going to know. Well, they're going to see right through you.
A true expert does not have to tell you that they are an expert.
Right. What about the self-proclaimed thought leaders? I am a thought leader and top 50 speaker.
Yeah.
You know,
people see through bullshit.
They really do.
That's all I can say.
There's an old Louis C.K. I don't know if it's old, but I saw it recently. He was doing a bit on somebody. He was having a conversation with somebody, and they said, so-and-so thinks I'm an asshole. He goes, and? Well, I'm not an asshole. Well, you don't get to say that. If they think that you're an asshole, you don't get to combat them by saying, no, I'm not.
Sure.
There's a reason why they think you're an asshole. Okay. Yeah. You can't proclaim yourself to be a thought leader. That has to be ordained on you, right? Somebody has to
pick
give
your
you
own
that.
call sign.
Right? It's like, who are these people? They're all over LinkedIn. I am a top 50 speaker. According to who? Based on what?
I will say this, though. Like, I will give credit to people that are genuine and authentic about creating content and making it educational. Yeah. Now, there's a lot of people preaching things they don't have experience with.
Yeah.
But if you do it in the right way, as you're trying to create value for people.
Documenting the process, you mean?
Correct.
Yeah. Hey, I know I'm not the expert here. There was a guy, his name is Dave Dugdale, and he was back in the DSLR revolution. DSLR is a kind of camera, and they were starting to use DSLRs for cinema applications. Like, you watch The Avengers. It's one of the first iterations and times that used a, very low cost Canon DSLR camera inside of a car that they were going to flip over with explosions and not have to sacrifice a $50,000 camera. Okay. So you got these really cool shots of inside the car flipping over, and it was like a game changer. So during that revolution, this guy literally came out and put out a YouTube series. He was a realtor in Colorado, just playing around with these cameras and finding like a new hobby for himself in his midlife. And the stuff he put up was fascinating, and you did get value from it because you were learning what he learned,
right?
And then you followed his journey, and then all of a sudden he was able to use a red camera. He's like, guys, I got a red camera. Let's follow me along and watch me do this stuff. Let's compare the red with this, and he would do these comparisons. A lot of work went into it, my gosh, but man, was it valuable. I drew so much stuff from his content because I was learning at the time.
Absolutely.
But that's the kind of stuff you're talking about, Don't proclaim to sell you to be an expert. If I get my real estate license tomorrow and I start putting out real estate content like I've been doing it as long as you're going to be like, dude, Jim, come on. What are you doing here?
I don't know, but there's a lot of people that are jumping in the game, getting ahead rather quickly by doing that. So I think you're just like anything else, you're going to have a couple that use this opportunity and do really well at it and become those people. Yeah. And you're going to get some people that just, nah.
The people that may become those people, though, you're seeing their highlight reel a lot of the time.
Oh, absolutely.
And I would imagine a lot of these people, they get in front of an actual client based on the client being attracted to them, based on their content that they put out. That question's got to come up. Okay, how long have you been doing this?
Of course.
Oh, I've only been a year and a half. Wait, what?
Well, I'm a big proponent for showing, Instagram, Facebook, all those, they just show your highlight reel.
Right.
So I'm a big proponent for talking about your losses as well.
Right.
Like one of my videos I put out a couple months ago was, so mom and dad live in Carriage Hills in Brentwood. It was the neighborhood that I grew up in. I had someone reach out to me about, they were interviewing multiple agents to list their house in Carriage Hills, literally like 4 doors down from mom and dad. I know everything about that neighborhood. Right. I've been there since I was 8 years old. Yeah. So I was 7 years old. So, I went into that listing appointment, nowhere near cocky, but, very confident, try to carry myself well. I was very knowledgeable, very, knew all the things about the neighborhood, the house, the comps, everything. And got a call a couple of days later saying they decided to go with somebody else. Yeah. And it kind of shocked me, to be honest with you, just because, that's my home turf. And so I put that out there, show your losses, man. That makes you human.
Do you know why they went with somebody else?
No, I never dug into it any deeper.
Do you ever try to? I mean, how do you go about that? when you find out something like that happens. I mean, in the past I would do, well, hey, I completely understand.
Sure.
Was it price, product, or person?
Yeah, I mean, I've asked them when they told me, and they're we just resonated with someone else or whatever.
Okay.
And I look at the listing once it went live. I was like, okay, she did everything that I would have done, and you win some, you lose some. It's just part of it.
Yeah, you try to learn from what you lost, and hopefully they'll remember you for referrals and stuff like that. So
yeah, sure, maybe.
Yeah. But it doesn't seem like you're worried about it. You're doing
no. I'm saying it.
I mean, what's a good first year expectation for a realtor? I mean, especially now, because right now we'll get to talking about this. The NAR decision that came out recently is going to certainly change the paradigm of the real estate industry nationwide and shake off a lot of the newbies that came on in the past couple of years, because a lot of people did it for the opportunity. Yeah. Selling real estate was like shooting fish in a barrel.
Well, they thought it was just because it's easy to get in. It is nowhere near easy to grow.
Right. It's a business.
And it changes. It's an ever evolving, way of generating new business and keeping clients and getting referrals and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, the game's changed, man. It really is.
Is this a massive shift that happened? Because the media is making it out to be like this major thing, but every realtor I talk to is like, nah, all we got to do is this.
No, it's really, the only thing that really bothers me is there were a lot of lies and falsehoods that were told. Right. Them going on saying, 6% commission has been the standard for all this. No, it's always been negotiable.
Yeah.
Always. I mean, that's written in the laws.
Yeah.
So there was never a standard.
Right.
Everything's always been negotiable as far as commissions are concerned.
Yeah.
Now, what's going to happen here is it's just going to open up to where you have to be more transparent on the front end. So let's say I'm working with a buyer. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say, okay, my fee is 3%.
Right.
Are you willing to allow me to negotiate that in the deal or make that a part of your fees coming into this?
Right.
Some people may try to do it on their own. Say, I can do it on my own. Okay, great.
Yeah.
If you want to do it on your own, that's your prerogative.
Yeah.
However, it's like, I can pull my own teeth if I needed to. I'd probably rather go to the dentist. Yeah. I could probably do we could file my taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've screwed my taxes up more times than I can tell you.
If you're not getting trained every year and updated.
Yeah, my concern is you're going to have a lot of buyers trying to do things unrepresented. So what does that look like on down the road?
Right.
I think you'll end up having,
I can defend myself in court.
Yeah, or they'll get into something. They'll end up getting a house and they overlooked something, and then now they're dealing with the mess. Lawsuits against the seller. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah. I just saw an appraisal report, and those things are a beast to sift through. I don't even know where. I'm like, what's the value? Just tell me what the value is.
An appraisal's someone's assumption.
Yeah.
Someone's opinion.
But there's a lot of information in that document.
Oh yeah.
That you got to sift through.
Yep.
Whereas somebody with experience would be able to tell you, okay, here it is.
Yep.
That's where they're saying, and here's the reason why. And it's all that stuff.
Yeah, and I'm not going to rip on appraisers by any means. They're part of my industry.
No, I'm not ripping on them. I'm just saying,
right. But that whole I've had some issues with that particular part of the business before. Right. You get a lot of appraisals that come in right at contract price. Okay, that's great. I like that. I want that. But you also get appraisers that, hey, they live 3 counties over. Mm-hmm. And they got drawn to do this appraisal in this specific neighborhood that has 4 different builders, all different qualities, and they'll lump them all together and go, "This house is worth this." Okay, well, you
don't know anything about it.
No.
Your recon's off.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You've got a Turnberry house you're comparing with a Jones property that's with a this custom builder like that. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I mean, you're with the breadth of experience you have, you've got every confidence in the world that you're going to be able to weather this. And if anything, I think are you looking forward to a shake off of sorts of the talent that's out there? Because I think that's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, I think whenever there's a shift, it's an opportunity. Mm-hmm. I think there's going to be a bunch of market share come available. So of course I want to grow my brand during that time.
Yeah.
However, a lot of us realtors are not overly competitive like everybody thinks. There's plenty of business for all of us that go about it the right way.
Yeah.
Now the people in there trying to do, 1, 2, 3 deals a year and, aren't truly business minded educators for their clients, those people are going to fall off.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's going to be plenty of opportunity for people to grow their brand, their market share, because I think we're about to have a big chunk of people fall off.
Which is okay, because you've got the back. And that's the other aspect of a content idea I just thought of as I was listening to. Your biggest strength is your history in the area, your awareness of it, your knowledge of it.
Yeah.
You certainly have an edge there, almost to the point where you can go to a location of town and put a video together talking about your experiences in that, hey, in 1992, I was in there, standing right here. This wasn't here. And then putting up the old photos and stuff like that you can come across. That's a good content.
Yeah. Maybe I'll put a video series together. I was doing something, it was more, I like writing a lot.
Yeah.
So I was doing some writings of the Williamson County I grew up in, and kind of telling about, old stories and, the Opryland theme park and, how when I was in high school, we used to go to this spot down on the Harpeth River and take our trucks down there to the rope swing.
Yeah.
Fun story.
See, I don't even know where that is.
Okay.
I know the Harpeth River, but I don't know where the rope swing is.
Oh yeah, we used to go down there and hang out, and Alan Jackson would come down there and hang out with us, and that was great.
Before he was somebody, or
right around when he was becoming somebody.
Did you tell him that this isn't the Chattahoochee, or?
So yeah, he.
Hey, this is the Harpeth, not the Chattahoochee.
He was right back behind his house. If you want to know where it was, so
I don't even know where he lives.
They're off Moran Road. He sold it years ago.
Did he? Mm-hmm. I mean, you knew a lot of the big A-lister people and probably knew them before they were somebody.
Yeah, a few. Brentwood, it was a kind of a sleepy town where everybody just, these country artists and songwriters, and they were allowed to be them.
Yeah.
We didn't bother them. You'd see people.
You think
in
they're bothered
store.
now?
Yeah, I think. Yeah. They're not bothered. I mean, any artist kind of enjoys that.
Yeah. It's part of the deal.
That's part of the deal. It's part of who they are.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not like it was.
Right.
They're not harassed or anything, but it's they don't have the privacy they used to. Like, I have to be very careful with as much online stuff as I do. I've represented some well-known people.
Yeah.
And I have to be very careful to do the best job I can to expose their property, but not expose them.
Right.
So it's a balancing act.
Sure.
Because I have had some, I won't say quote unquote crazies. I've definitely been contacted from fans and stuff.
Right. Because they know somebody else. Yeah. I would actually say that could be another part of your relaunch of your podcast. All of a sudden I'm getting ideas. Because I think, you need
crazy things that have happened to me.
No, not the crazy things, but, imagine all the people that you could bring on that would be happy to do it and tell stories of those times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It is called the 615 podcast for a reason. Hell, man, make it all about all the history of the 615.
Man, we'll just rent this place out for a weekend and just sit here and drink beer and hammer out these episodes.
When beer gets involved, the episodes do get interesting. I actually conduct, if you ever want to be a guest on it, I'm sure we can make it happen. We do a podcast out of this room called the Ales and Tales podcast, and we batch record them, which when you're doing a beer tasting podcast, you can only batch record so many before you just get stupid. And typically the third episode is when we're like, yeah. And we even preface it in the episodes when you listen to them. Hey guys, just so you know, this is the third episode of a batch record. So there you go. You've been warned.
Hey, that's thorough and authenticity.
Oh yeah, that's not a bad idea. Incorporating some of your favorite drinks in the recording aspect of it.
Yeah,
You know, alcohol makes it interesting for sure.
just have to be careful not to call out some people.
Right. It could be one of those things. That's why we record them, so they could be edited.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
But yeah, I think that's a great idea. Even just bringing that back in, because you've had some pretty heavy hitters on your show.
Yeah, it was fun, man. I really enjoyed it. I did.
Yeah.
I did. So I'll get it going. You've twisted my arm.
Yeah. We'll make it happen.
We'll crank them out.
What are some of the things? I mean, anything that what is your prognostications for the local real estate market? Before we started, we talked about Lewisburg and Columbia.
Yeah.
You said like an area north of Huntsville, south of Nashville, you think is going to blow up?
Well, I just think you're seeing it now. Everything from Nashville south, Huntsville north is just kind of growing together.
Yeah.
I mean, who would have thought real estate would have blown up the way it has?
Yeah.
But the thing is, I'm not seeing it slow down.
Right.
And I think if they do get around to lowering rates at all, you're going to have buyers that have been sitting on the edge that all jump in at the same time. Supply and demand, boom, prices go back up. So
Inventory shortage levels like we had?
we've had inventory shortage for 15 years.
Really?
I mean, it's kind of what it is.
I'm going to say
here.
you could thank me for that.
Yeah.
Because everywhere I move, people just want to move there.
Yeah.
For some reason. It happened in Vegas. Like we moved from Connecticut to Vegas, and at the time, 6,000 people were moving into Vegas per month. And it was just growing like crazy. But they also had the infrastructure because it was all laid out like a grid.
Yeah.
So the traffic was manageable. On the freeways and stuff like that, not so much. It kind of got a little hairy towards the end of our time there. But we moved to Nashville before it was cool.
Yeah.
And
I've had more.
it blew up after we got here.
Right.
Again.
Right. Well, it's either you or it's mass migration from blue states to red states.
This is
what
just
I'm
the
saying.
delusions I sell myself.
Right.
So
Right.
you know.
Yeah. I've had many clients move here from, California and Denver and Washington and.
Well, you've dealt with a lot of Californians moving in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because there are a lot of realtors who've taken advantage of that and created Facebook pages that are monsters.
Oh yeah.
And, just to talk about Middle Tennessee as a destination and smartly are branding themselves as, hey, I could help you buy a house.
Sure.
Yeah,
I've done a little of that. More selling, hey, what does living in Middle Tennessee feel like?
Yeah.
And that's, hey, me personally, hunt and fish and football and
For now.
church and yeah.
Until they start concreting everything over.
Yeah, I'm going to hold on to my little slice of heaven down south of here. But
And a lot of the people that have moved here in the last 10 years are getting upset like, oh my gosh, all the beauty and everything's going away.
right.
All these developers need to stop developing. And it's like, well, we need to hold on to this land. And so, well, you got to put yourself in the person who owns the land's shoes.
Right.
You get somebody that comes across with a life-changing offer, man. It's like, what would you do?
Right. Right. That's tough, man. It's telling people that the secret's out. I mean, this is just an incredible place. I grew up here, raised my kids here. I'm never leaving here.
Right.
Love it. But it's tough. It's tough to see the change. It's tough to.
It's also tough to not see the change.
Sure.
It could
go the opposite.
die just as
Absolutely.
easy. Yeah.
Absolutely. So.
But there is a measured, strategic way to go about it. Around here, where we are now at the J2 HQ, they're building out what they call June Lake behind us. And it's a master planned, massive community development. All the houses they're putting up are, I have yet to see anything less than like $950,000.
Right.
So affordability is probably out the window based on the supply and demand and what the market's like. But it's the old Alexander property, the dealership owner, And when we moved here, it was a pretty piece of property, and now it's going away.
Oh yeah, I remember it very much so.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean that's tough. It's tough to see anything change. The hardest thing and the saddest thing for me is the price point is really pushing out locals.
Yeah. And young people.
Yeah. And a lot of people want to upgrade and they really can't. They're like, why would I sell to buy something $500,000 more at a higher interest rate? That's why I think you're seeing areas like Columbia, Clarksville, Lewisburg, these outskirt areas, they're really starting to take off.
Right.
So I think that's we're going to see a continuation of that.
Is there marketing going on around like Southern Kentucky, even, Northern Alabama is still expensive now. That's kind of happening as well. I mean, is Mississippi doing a campaign to attract people? Hey, we're not as expensive as Middle Tennessee,
I don't know.
But we still have that Southern charm and attraction, right?
They should.
They probably should.
Yeah. Yeah. Nashville's just it's a special place because it's such a hub. It's close proximity to, within what they say within a 5 mile or within a 5 hour drive, you can get just about anywhere.
Yeah. Well, that's the reason why all these, if you're a musician or an artist, it's ideal because you pretty much have home base right here.
Right.
And you're there every week because they go out on Wednesdays, come back on Sundays typically.
Yeah.
With a lot of that being said, you said, even downtown Nashville, when I first moved here in 2005, it was, they called it Nash Vegas. And me coming from Vegas, I would look at people who said that and say, no, it's a far cry from what Vegas is. And that's a good thing. It's still got the hometown feel. It's, it's boutiquey, it's cushy. Now it's not. And downtown Nashville is just honestly, a hellhole.
Well, funny thing is I have clients go, hey, what should we do downtown? I'm like, I'll be honest with you. I don't go.
I never go.
Yeah. I'll go to a Titans game or a Preds game or something like that. But I don't spend a lot of time around mass groups of people. That's just me. Yeah. It's not my thing.
I don't really like, the smell of hot urine on the weekends. Not exactly my thing. And, every time I hear a bus go by, I got to wonder if they're going to woo at me.
Yeah.
It is the bachelorette capital of the world. My goodness.
It's good for the economy. So I'm not going to rip on it, but it's not where I'll be on a Friday night.
Well, where can people find you on a Friday night? What do you like doing?
Well, I'm probably at either a cheerleading practice competition or softball practice or tournament, or my son plays 7-on-7 football and plays for Nolensville High School. So we're just eat up with sports, man.
Right.
So I don't get to do anything else other than that right now.
That's the funny.
I try to fish. I try to hunt.
Yeah.
Get down to the farm some, but I'm right in the middle of raising kids, man. So
it ain't about you.
It is not about me.
Yeah, I know what that's like.
So, yeah. And they say you're going to miss this. So I try to be as present as possible.
Now, how old's your oldest?
Caden's 15 now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's a fun age.
It's a funny story. He got his learner's permit.
Right.
And he's been driving Catherine's car more than mine. And she's got a newer Tahoe with the push button and all the things. And so he's been driving her car. And he wanted to drive my truck the other day. And he gets in and he's like, Dad, how do I start this? Mm-hmm. It's like, turn the damn key, son. What do you mean? He's using the push button and all the things. And it's like, oh, Lord.
Well, the instant security system on a car now is a manual shift transmission.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stick. 5-speed.
Yep.
Nobody knows how to drive those anymore.
I was telling a story the other day. So my very first vehicle was an 89 Toyota pickup, 4x4. Oh, I love that car.
Was it like the Back to the Future pickup?
That's why I wanted it.
Okay.
Now, the Back to the Future was an 88. Mine's an 80. It was an 89.
Right.
And so me and my wife were talking about, teaching my son how to drive and him having plenty of time before he actually gets his license behind the wheel, and which I agree with.
Yeah.
It's a little different than when I was growing up. It's like I drove a week or two before I got my license.
Yeah.
And I remember leaving school to go get my license and came back and Dad's like, all right, jump in the truck and go back to school. I barely knew how to drive that.
Right.
I stalled it out on Wilson Pike 2 or 3 times on the way to school.
That's awesome.
Just learn as you go.
My first car was an 88 Suzuki Samurai.
I remember those.
I learned how to drive stick, believe it or not, on a dirt bike.
Okay.
The concept of it, using the clutch and everything. So the Suzuki was a 5-speed stick shift, and I would practice in my driveway going back and forth, learning how to feather the clutch and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'd give anything to have that truck back. Ended up blowing the engine on it and sold it for $500.
Because it'll be worth something now.
Those things restored now are $30,000.
Yeah. Suzuki Samurais too. I hated that car when I was a kid. I hated that freaking. But that thing it was like a warm knife through butter when it snowed.
Yeah.
You actually had to get out and lock the hubs.
Oh yeah.
Remember doing that?
Absolutely.
And then put it in 4-wheel drive. But Suzuki Samurais were notorious for tipping over during turns. And
real top heavy, weren't they?
Real top heavy, but narrow.
There, yep.
Yeah. And but I mean, they were decent cars. You could stand up and work on, change the oil.
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't have to get underneath it.
I was telling the story the other day. So grew up, right there in Brentwood on Wilson Pike, right around like Clovercroft in that area. And we used to go have field parties and go mudding back where Chardonnay is, the neighborhood Chardonnay.
Where it's bougie now, it was redneck
so
back in the day.
We would go up in there and get out and lock the hubs and go 4-wheeling and
have a good time.
Have our campfires and all that. Yeah, man.
So everything you saw on like a mid-millennium country music video was reality.
Yep.
Like any given, like the first Jason Aldean Hicktown video, that was a Friday night for you guys.
Yeah, a pull up Brantley Gilbert's Countrywide. That's it. That was my high school years right there.
There's got to be a market for that, man. What if you had a piece of property that just offered that? Big old bunch of acreage. Yeah. Hey, for a Friday night, bring out your truck. Let's go mudding. Bring out some ATVs. Sign this waiver first. This way you indemnify me and, go ahead and knock yourself out.
Hey, what was the word you said earlier? The multipreneur.
Multipreneur.
There you go. That may be my next run right there.
I think is a market for people. They would totally do that.
All right.
It's like having, a lot of guys that I know are hunters are wondering about, my neighbor in back of me, I call him my backdoor neighbor, which is kind of funny. He's like, the guy that I typically hunt on his land, he sold off a swath of it. Now what am I supposed to do? That might be something there too,
Yeah, I've had people, with my property say like, oh, you ought to do like a glamping thing or, there's a way to make money. I'm like, no, that's my little slice of heaven. I don't want you there. I don't even want you to know about it. Yeah. That's where I go to get away from you. I don't want to invite you there.
Well, man, let's get our Friday and weekend on. How do people find and follow you?
My website, nickwoodard.com, and that connects you to everything else. Instagram at Nick Woodard Realtor. Try to put out good content, engaging content. We've got a great website. It's actually
who did your website?
Some people out of California. Agent Image, I believe.
Okay.
So they built it. Love it. Yeah. Love that website. But nickwoodard.com. You can get all my socials off of there. And
we look forward to hearing more from you, especially in a podcast form, because you got something good going on. You got a lot of potential.
Thanks, buddy.
I think that you do. So.
I appreciate that.
With that being said, all the details are in the description. Check them out, nickwoodard.com. And if this is an episode that you got some value out and you can send it to somebody, please do. All the details you need to know are at MMTBP.com. MMTBP.com. Even if you know somebody who wants to be or is a potential guest for the podcast, send it to them, because we got an invite link there as well. They can fill out a form and let everybody know that it is an in-person podcast. I get a lot of people that say, hey, we can Zoom in. I will not do a Zoom unless it's a really extenuating situation. So
didn't you miss all this?
I know. Because the in-person conversation, I think, helps.
Of course.
Yeah, you feel the energy. So with that being said, you guys have a great time, and we're going to get our weekend started because we're shooting this on a Friday. And Nick, as always, thanks for being on, pal.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.